Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson, here with my beautiful co-host and producer, Jade Harrell. What's up, Jade?
What's up, Shawn?
How you doing today?
I am marvolutionary.
What? That's mind-blowing. What is that?
Well, I can't take credit for it. It comes from one of our reviewers. Marvelous and revolutionary.
I dig it.
All at the
I
same
dig
time.
it. Love it. Well, I hope everyone else is doing marvolutionary today.
Marvolutionary.
Or something similar, feeling good. We got an amazing show lined up for you guys. It's going to be an epic show, actually. But first, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody listening because we've just blown past 1 million downloads.
1
with
million.
power. 1 million, right? 1 million.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
1
powerful.
million anything is huge.
Yeah, it's something I can't even fathom. And we really set out in the beginning to create a show that would really impact the lives of people deeply.
Yeah.
And something that was shared and something that was becomes a part of people's lives. And what we do, you know how we roll, we creating master classes so that people get this stuff downloaded into their own biochemical matrix,
right?
And they really, this becomes a part of who they are. And this information is critical. It's critical in our world today to really educate yourself,
right?
And even the word educate, it's from the Latin educo, which means to learn from within.
See,
so getting tuned back into that type of information and learning how to learn, and also learning how to listen to yourself, to your own inner guidance system, to get yourself healthy, happy, and on your mission.
Yeah.
That's what this is really about. This is model health. That's what it's about.
I can attest that it has been that for me.
So thank you guys so much for that. And we're actually going to do a special giveaway.
Oh, yeah?
In celebration. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But today's topic. So today we're going to be talking about conquering diabesity.
Diabesity.
Okay? So we're talking about natural solutions for diabetes and the obesity epidemic that we're faced with right now as a society. And people are going to walk away with 8 specific steps to help them to conquer and completely reverse diabesity, which is obesity and diabetes-related symptoms. Okay, 8 specific steps to make this happen.
Got to.
All right, and whether this whole diabesity, because we were like, "What is that?"
Right.
What? Diabesity was coined. The term was coined by Dr. Frances Kaufman, and this is diabetes plus obesity.
She must be my sister.
And in her book, titled Diabesity, the Obesity Diabetes Epidemic that Threatens America, she said that the root of this diabesity is quite simply our ancient genes and our modern environment have collided.
Wow.
Okay, our ancient genes and our modern environment have collided.
That's real. And
there's this rapid increase, which we've seen statistically in obesity, and it sharply mirrors the rapid increase in diabetes. They're going right in alignment with each other. And it's not an accident. So we're going to break this whole thing down so people can understand and walk away empowered.
That's right.
But first, let's give a shout out to our show sponsor, Onnit.com. Head over to ONNIT/model. That's /MODEL for 10% off all of your health and human performance supplements. Jade is getting her hug on. She's getting her love on with this hemp force protein right now.
Because
it actually
been
matches
so good
you.
To me.
Look at that. Not an accident. You didn't even know you was going to get that today. I delivered that for you.
Right.
I love that.
See? I love it.
That's a Choco Maca flavor,
this is
right?
my stuff. Yes.
Yeah. So why do we love hemp force protein? First and foremost, it's the most bioavailable protein for the human body.
Yep.
It's actually exclusive. What you're going to find in there is something called edestin. Edestin is the most bioavailable protein structure, usable protein structure for human beings. All right. And if you're human, which I hope you are, shout out to
most of us.
If
for
there's
you
any aliens tuned
here,
in, or Walking Dead, welcome to the show. Glad you're tuned in.
Yeah,
but
no offense,
human beings, this is something that's going to be useful for you because it is extremely digestible and usable for your cellular matrix.
I just pictured Frankenstein saying, "I like hemp."
Right.
Give me some.
So powerful stuff, and also by it being so bioavailable, it's just going to feel good, satiating, versus some of the more common stuff on the market, a lot of whey proteins, for example. And that's not all whey's, but most whey's is going to find you bloated, irritable, stomach distress. But people are pounding that stuff down because they feel that they have to. You don't have to. There is a better option.
We have a choice.
Science has merged with nutrition in the right way, which is using earth-grown nutrients, right? an organic source to get this nutrition into your body. So it's absolutely wonderful. And not to mention, it also tastes delicious.
It tastes amazing.
It's delicious.
Amazing.
You know, because a lot of other hemp protein powders out there, yeah, they taste like, what did you say?
A dust biscuit.
A dust biscuit, right? Or a nice slice of clay, you know,
clay pie.
Clay sandwich. Clay
pie.
Clay pie.
Put
clay
your
pie
spoon
pie.
in that.
So, it's wonderful stuff. It tastes amazing. And just do yourself a favor. And if you're not on Hemp Force, get on it. Get on it, seriously.
Get it on it.
Now, also, we're loving the Shroom Tech Sport. That's one of my favorite things of all times. I use it because it works. It's my pre-workout supplement. It's based on cordyceps mushroom, which has 5,000 years of documented history in Chinese medicine.
Yes.
5,000 years.
Right.
Not yesterday by Earl down at the laboratory.
Earl? What's
you
this
know
you
Earl.
gave me, Earl?
It's the new stuff, man.
It's the new stuff.
It's crunk juice.
Right.
It's crunk, baby.
He's been working on it for a week.
He's right. Mixing with 5,000 years documented history. Cordyceps mushroom is clinically proven to improve the oxygenation of your cells. All right. So getting more oxygen and life force to your cells. And also it helps to defend against insulin resistance as well. So it can actually improve your insulin sensitivity, which talking about diabetes, this is an important factor here. Improves the libido. But you didn't hear it from me.
Libido.
You didn't hear it from
me. You got to drop that.
Libido.
There you go.
And anything that boosts your libido, basically we're talking about, it's just giving you more energy to do whatever you want to do.
That's right.
You know, if it's to work out,
Take
if it's
it
to
how you want.
write your new book, if it's to whatever.
Right.
Whatever you're into, it can help to do that.
That's
so
right.
head over there, check them out. So many amazing products. Onnit.com/model. Now let's get into the iTunes review of the week. Hold up. Surprise.
What?
We're going to be giving away, I'm giving away a couple of these gift packs. Not yours, Jay.
Okay.
A couple of gift packs of Onnit products. So the Hemp Force, the Earth Grown Nutrients, okay, the Super Green Food Powder that they have, a Shroom Tech. I'm going to give away a Shroom Tech.
Get out.
And also, what am I going to give away? An Alpha Brain. So I'm going to give away these 4 products. I'm going to give away a couple of packages of these. And all you have to do to enter yourself is to hit me up on Instagram.
Oh.
I want you to right now take a photo. Tag me in a photo of where you're watching the show. All right? Tag me in a photo. I'm at Shawn Model. So that's at SHAWN Model, MODEL. So Shawn Model, one word. I'm at Shawn Model. Just tag me in a photo. Follow me on Instagram as well.
No
Follow
problem.
me. I'm new to the Insta world, but I'm digging it. I really love it. I think it's amazing.
It is.
And I've got some crazy cool pictures on there already. You know, like showing people I've got this greenery in my hand, like a bunch of little green leaves. You know, it looks like marijuana. But it's actually stevia. It's stevia. Most people have never seen what stevia actually looks like. So little pictures like that. And I'm doing a couple of quick videos and all these really cool things.
That
so
sounds like fun.
Connect with me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram and tag me in a photo of where you're watching the show, and I'll enter you in. I'm going to give everybody about maybe a week to do this, but the sooner the better. And I'll announce the winners, and you're going to get yourself a gift pack.
Man,
celebrate 1 million
gold
downloads.
Pack is what it is.
Absolutely. So
is that now our podcast listeners eligible too?
Everybody's eligible.
Okay.
No matter what modality you're listening, if you're watching video, because we're experimenting. If you guys are digging video, make sure to let me know. But also, of course, the podcast listeners, this is for you guys.
Right.
You know,
1 million plus.
Because you helped to build this thing up to where it is. So head over there to Instagram, hit me up, follow those instructions, and you'll be entered to win. So now let's get into the iTunes review of the week.
So I'm not disqualified, am I?
Jade.
I'm just saying.
Put the little, and employees are not qualified.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I got my word today from this reviewer who says Marvolutionary is marvelously revolutionary. Boxer fitness queen. I've been meaning to tell you that your show is awesome and I'm loving it for months now. But tonight, I listened to an episode that drove me to sit down and finally do this. The one on not comparing yourself to gain true happiness and find body freedom with Madeline Moon. I stumbled onto your show after starting a relationship with a fitness trainer who motivated me to consider fitness competing and a very limited diet. While I'm a fitness fanatic and enjoying the physical results I'm getting, as a professional life coach, I am also committed to doing that inner work that ensures that I'm staying motivated from a place of self-love rather than external fear. This mental strength training is key and ensures I don't let what I instinctually know to be good for me and my unique lifestyle and body composition to get derailed by what a template says my body can become. Thank you, Shawn and Jade, for bringing us the Model Health Show. It is a nutrient that supports our building an awareness foundation and stay committed to stretching and strengthening those core mental muscles. I am a loyal listener and so grateful for the immense relevance of this podcast in my life. Marvelous and revolutionary. 5 stars.
I love that. That is so amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. That really does mean a lot. That's amazing.
Puts it in great perspective.
And putting it into action in your life. That's what it's really about.
And the inner work part.
Yeah.
The work in.
I really feel that, and as often as I can, I try to express this to people, that a great quality to develop is speed of implementation. Speed of implementation. When you actually, because we can listen to a great talk, go to an event, write a bunch of notes, but we don't apply this stuff.
Exactly.
It'll kind of drift to the side. The faster you can get that insight and apply it, the better.
That's right.
I mean, across the board. And I've talked to some really, really successful people in different areas of life. And one of the qualities I'm seeing consistently is speed of implementation. They find out something and they put it into play for themselves.
That's right.
Because that's how we really learn, you know?
And that's how you step past fear. You know, and most of our fears that we'll fail or that we'll fall will fail fast and get on with it.
Right.
And then keep moving forward.
You try hard or you die hard.
Right.
What?
Or just die.
Kanye West.
Oh, God.
Anyways, I know. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into the topic of the day. Today we're talking about diabesity. Diabesity. So let's go ahead and dive in a little bit deeper and actually break down what this means. So this is basically defined as a metabolic dysfunction that ranges from a mild blood sugar intolerance to full-on type 2 diabetes. And we're specifically focused in on type 2 diabetes here because this is 95% of individuals with diabetes have type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
And we might say a couple of things about type 1 or, you know, we can focus
help
on.
us understand the comparison contrast.
But we can focus in more on that on another show as well.
Sure. But with 95% of them being 2, let's go in on 2.
So symptoms of diabesity include abdominal obesity in particular. That's a classic sign, like I mentioned. That weight that we gain around the waistline, that's a classic sign of insulin resistance. Also, high blood pressure. Okay, a lot of people don't attribute any type of blood sugar issues to high blood pressure, but you're going to understand more why this is so important. High blood sugar, obviously, and high LDL, which is the low dense lipoprotein. Okay, so the LDL, which is known as the quote bad cholesterol, so not exactly bad, but it's more indicating that there's some potential issues for inflammation there if your LDL is high. And also high triglycerides is another issue. And another thing is systemic inflammation. And so I'm going to be throwing some things out that you can also go and check.
Right.
You know, you can get some blood work done and actually check. One of the measuring sticks for something like systemic inflammation would be something like a CRP, which is a C-reactive protein, okay, among some other things, all right? So you can get that checked out. And diabetes is basically its underlying cause of virtually all chronic diseases of aging. It's known as the accelerated aging disease, okay? Accelerated aging disease. And this includes heart attacks, stroke, cancer, dementia, depression, skin disorders, sexual dysfunction, infertility, and overarching this whole thing. Right. This is so important to understand and take away with this is that individuals who have diabetes have a 50% increased incidence of dying prematurely. 50%.
My gosh.
All right. So now let's talk a little bit about who this is affecting and why this is so important to talk about. And just first of all, I want to give a reference point. In 1897, 2.1 individuals in 100,000 were diagnosed with diabetes.
That's not a lot.
That's not a lot. Now, of course, there's testing and there's all these advancements, but to see the distinction right now, 2.8 in 100,000, 2.8 in 100,000 to today, we're nearly 1 in 3. 1 in 3 individuals today.
What was the time span in that?
1897. All right. So this is back when we was riding horses or whatever, but
that may have played a role in a healthier society.
And today, 1 in 3 individuals are clinically obese in America right now. One in 3.
One of us in this room.
So 1 in 3 people. 1 in 3 people wherever you go. Now, understand I'm talking about obesity, and I don't even like that word. I don't like that word.
Why?
It's a inflammatory word. I feel that it's inflammatory, but it's just for our intents and purposes, it's for communication.
Okay.
All right. So these are individuals that are past the point of being, quote, overweight, okay, to where it's become a chronic situation, and a lot of health issues are going to be tied to this. So it's estimated that 1 in 3 people born today will have diabetes. Okay. This is the pace that we're on. 29.1 million Americans suffer from type 2 diabetes right now. And every year, get this, and right now we're talking about the doomsday stuff, and we're going to get to the light here.
Right.
Every year.
What a bummer.
Every year, 800,000 more people are diagnosed.
My goodness.
That's crazy. It doesn't even make any sense.
Yes.
And 1 in 4 of them do not know that they have it. This is key. Now, 86 million Americans, so 29.1 million right now have diabetes. 86 million Americans have pre-diabetes, which is all wrapped into this diabesity epidemic. And here's the key. 9 out of 10 of them don't know they have it. Okay? Now, so with this all put together, that's 1 in every 2 Americans have diabetes or pre-diabetes right now. And upwards of 90% of them don't know it. Okay? So this is the real kind of hidden epidemic that's going on.
Yeah.
And seeing that our society has kind of shifted, we can physically, like with our own eyes, see the change. You see some old like black and white photos. Everybody's, they're pretty skinny. They might have been malnutrition, but today we're in a situation where obesity outweighs world hunger. Okay. There are more people who are obese than who are malnourished.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the situation we're in right now. And so for me personally, even as I'm breaking down these different statistics, I'm tired of it. I don't want to even talk about it anymore because, those things like in 25 years is expected to be 1 in 3 children is expected to have. We can stop this.
Right.
And we are stopping it.
Yeah.
The thing has changed right now, with this podcast movement, with more individuals waking up to the fact that you can actually govern what's going on with your biology, with your body, with your health, with the way that you think.
Right.
You can change.
Right.
So all these numbers, this is a thing of the past, but it starts with you right now taking this really by the horns. If you're in a situation where you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, you've got to change this.
Or don't know.
Find out.
So at least be in a place of knowing.
Right.
With numbers that high, you don't want to walk around unaware.
And just because, I've got to put this as a sidebar, just because an individual is thinner doesn't mean that they can't have diabetes as well. Okay. Again, the classic sign is carrying weight around the waist. That should give you an indication. Maybe I want to go get a blood panel done and check things out. And you want to look at not just your fasting glucose.
Okay.
That's a snapshot. Because right now, we can all go to whatever they're McDougal's. Shout out to Coming to America. But we can head over the McDowell's. Yeah. Oh man, my bad.
That's all right. That's a good
Start
tribute.
off on the
I
fries,
love it.
and he worked his way up to cashier. So
yes, he did.
we can head over to McDowell's right now.
Right. They have the golden arches. We have the golden arcs.
And we can get loaded up on some orange soda.
Yeah.
And we all go in and get a blood panel done. It's going to look like we all have diabetes. They're like, what? What's
that
going on?
quickly,
It's
that
crazy.
immediately.
Because it will show up. It will
Sure.
show up. And it depends on your own genetic disposition, how quickly your body can clean that mess up.
Right.
All right. So it's a snapshot. So you also want to look at your hemoglobin A1C number. Hemoglobin A1C. That'll give you a better indication of what's going on. And generally, so what the research shows is that you're going to get around a 3-month snapshot. So what's been going on with your body handling sugar over the last 3 months with hemoglobin A1C. So definitely check into that.
That sounds like a high level security clearance.
Hemoglobin A1C, ma'am.
That's right.
Let me in. So the goal
So these kinds of testing, where would we go to get these sorts?
I mean, you
said get them checked. Is there one
we're
person,
gonna actually,
a specialist?
we've got a show coming up.
Okay.
We're going to do a
Who do you
show
call?
and we're going to direct people to the right practitioners.
We are tight.
All right. So we've got a show coming up about that, but just know that, of course, you can get this stuff done with your traditional physician, but you want to make sure that you're working with somebody who doesn't want to see you on a bunch of medications, who's not treating symptoms, who knows that you can be well by changing your lifestyle and your nutrition, because you are what you eat. All this talk of what's going on with your cells and your blood sugar is determined by the food that you're eating.
And
largely.
what they ate.
And so you want to work with more of an integrative physician, a functional medicine type of physician. But like I said, we've got a show coming up about that. And if you don't have one necessarily, you can go to, there's so many labs just around the country where you can actually go in and get the blood work done, and they'll ship it off to the person you want to read your stuff.
There we go.
Right? So we're going to talk about that in a future episode, but let's go ahead and dive deeper into this now.
Okay.
So as Dr. Francis Kaufman actually indicated, our ancient genes and our modern environment have collided. And so what does that even mean? All right. So our genes have literally evolved over countless centuries, thousands of years to bring us to this place.
Mm-hmm.
And never before in human history have we had the opportunity to have Apple Jacks, right? Or honey buns. And these are, I'm saying from my own experience.
Okay, so then throw in Cheetos.
Because of course, orange fingers, baby. And now they had 2 honey buns for 99 cents.
You didn't even notice. Did you notice?
2. You microwave it just a little bit in the plastic. You eat that. That's how you start your day.
Frosting and a bunch of the ingredients.
Of course, you crash and you taking a nap in class, but that doesn't everybody.
Right.
And so sour cream and onion chips, all these things. This is what I grew up on, and it's really understanding that this is abnormal. These foods have never existed before in human history.
That's right.
And it's really damaging our health.
I imagine that.
So the big issue really when we're talking about the consumption of honey buns and ding dongs and ho-hos. By the way, really quickly, I think they were subliminally messing with us and calling us some names.
Okay.
That's what I think. You are what you eat.
Right.
I'm saying.
Exactly.
Don't eat it.
Enjoy this.
Ding dong.
Ho.
Ding dong.
Okay.
Twinkie? I don't really even know. That was so random.
I would probably have an attitude if someone called me that. You a big old Twinkie. I would be mad.
Snowball.
Yeah.
So just understand, you are what you eat, right? And so what's happening is that the consumption of these types of foods, and even the stuff that we think is more healthy, but they're heavily processed, it literally changes the way that your body operates.
I'm glad you added that. We think it's healthy, but it's heavily processed. There's a whole line of that.
It's changing your metabolism. It's literally changing the way your body operates on a cellular level with the consumption of these types of foods. It's not just, I'm eating this thing and nothing happens, or I'm going to work it off at some point. It doesn't work like that. You're changing your metabolism.
You're affecting your messaging.
Now, with that said, let's go ahead. We're going to break down right now, how diabetes is actually created.
Okay.
So that everybody can walk away understanding this simply and completely. Now, the first thing to really look at is really getting a sharp understanding that blood glucose is either useful or it's toxic. Okay. It's a very thin line. Okay. It's either useful or it's toxic. Insulin itself, it's actually a protein. Okay. But it's a fancy protein. It has hormonal action. So a lot of people don't know that. We know. I usually, even when I'm doing a talk somewhere, I say insulin is a hormone because, really it functions like a hormone, but it's actually protein. And it's secreted by the pancreas whenever you consume carbohydrates, proteins, or both. Okay. So this incites the activation of insulin. These are from the beta cells in your pancreas. Okay. So just to make it real simple.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
Pancreas, whenever you eat sugar or carbohydrates, any food that's classified as a carbohydrate, whether it's a banana or a ding dong, okay, your pancreas is going to secrete insulin. Okay. And so insulin is your body's energy storing hormone. So now what does this mean?
Right.
Well, getting into the cell, the energy needs to get into your cell. Getting into the cell is sort of like getting backstage with the celebrity, right? With the celebrity.
I like that. I got
So it's getting backstage is getting into the cell.
Okay.
Insulin
I'll
is
remember that association.
is like the big the big bodyguard.
Right.
Who's standing there at the velvet rope, who's going to decide whether or not they're going to open the door and let you in.
Right.
Let you get backstage with the celebrity and do whatever's going to happen backstage, So this is what insulin does. It operates sort of like the key to open the door to let you in.
So it's not the bodyguard, but it's the key to get the bodyguard,
it's the bodyguard
to let us in.
It's the bodyguard.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I threw 2 analogies out there. But it's the bodyguard that opens the velvet rope for you to get in.
Right.
Or it's like the key that opens the cell.
Okay.
Okay.
That works.
Whatever works for you.
I'm just trying to figure out what I can say to come with them, to get past this guy.
And that's kind of what happens. So when insulin's doing its job and there's not a lot of glucose for your body to try to operate, they can let 1 or 2 people in at a time.
Okay.
But then all of a sudden, in comes a ding dong or a ho ho,
Right.
and they've got all these people pushing, trying to get into the cell, right? So insulin, one of the things that happens is insulin resistance. Okay, so the bodyguard starts pushing back. It's like, no, I'm not letting anybody in right now. This is already too full. Okay, so that's one of the things that really kind of
Great
unfolds.
analogy. I love
right?
it. Now, the people trying to get in are the carbs and sugars.
So this would be nutrients like glucose.
Okay.
So it's going to be blood glucose.
So some good guys.
Okay, which is sugar.
Sure.
Blood glucose and amino acids.
So we want them, but if the sugar's cutting up,
it's
then
just
the
we
aminos
want
can't
the
get
right
in.
amount. When it's too
Right.
much is when the problems start to happen. Which we're
Clowns.
going to talk about more of what happens when there's too much.
Okay.
So now we're going to get a little bit more into the science here. So the insulin receptors promote the uptake of the glucose into the various tissues that contain a certain type. It's called type 4 glucose transporters, or GLUT4. Okay. Now this is important. Okay. So the GLUT4 transporters. GLUT4 is primarily found in, and these are the ones that have receptor sites for insulin. Okay. GLUT4 is primarily found in muscle tissue, adipose tissue or fat tissue, and also cardiac tissue. Okay. Heart muscle tissue.
Right.
So again, when we're talking about diabetes, how does that relate to cardiovascular disease?
Exactly.
This is how. Okay, there's
That's a whole
receptors
nother
right there,
area.
right? So that sugar that you're consuming is immediately impacting the function of your heart, right?
Immediately,
instantaneously, right now is happening, right?
Jeez, it's going down.
So to really round this whole thing out and understand, this is how type 2 diabetes is created. It's too much glucose in the bloodstream, leading to the cells becoming resistant to the effects of insulin. Too much sugar in the bloodstream, leading to the cells becoming resistant to the effects of insulin. Now, type 2 diabetes is a disease of too much, not too little insulin. Okay, and this is the real driver of diabesity.
Okay.
Diabesity is driven by this. Okay, whereas on the other side of the table, so when we're talking about type 1 diabetes, we're looking at a situation where more than likely it's too little insulin being produced because of the beta cells in the pancreas that we talked about. They're either malfunctioning or they're dying. Okay, so this is a whole different subject. So type 2 diabetes is an issue of too much, not too little insulin.
Right.
So now let's actually transition and talk about how the obesity thing ties in with diabetes.
Sure.
So let's take a step back and understand that your body's storage of glucose as fat is actually a healthy response. It's a healthy response of a well-functioning human unit.
Right.
Okay. This is something that your body does to actually protect you, because here's the reality is that high blood sugar is extremely toxic. And your body converting that glucose into fat, into body fat, is an attempt to protect the liver, the brain, your heart, and other various organs from glucose poisoning. Okay.
So we should be grateful for being fat.
In a way.
Right.
In a way, it's a protective
it says
mechanism.
that something is working right. But let that be that warning signal,
Yes,
you
exactly.
know, that we're not ignoring. But the fact that it is functioning, you know, like testing your your smoke detector.
Yeah, you just said it. It's a symptom. You know, the overweightness is a symptom of these functions, and it's feedback from your body that you need to change. But in our society today, we see it so frequently that we don't really acknowledge that it's a problem.
Right.
You know, and not to say, again, we want to get out of the inflammatory labels, you know, like somebody's obese or somebody's fat. It's more so understanding that, is this the natural state of your body? Is this the optimal healthy state for your body to be in? Or are you slowly dying? Because one of the issues is that we start to develop this omentum fat or visceral fat that starts to surround your organs and just basically puts this intense pressure on your body's organs all the time.
That's frightening.
And so let's talk a little bit more about that and how this actually happens. So here's the process. So you consume we'll just use carbohydrate food. Okay. So you consume the high carbohydrate food.
Bagel.
So you're going to get the bagel butt, right?
Saying.
So
bagel belt.
So bagel belt, right? So you consume the bagel or bagels, if it was me, in my case, bagels.
Right.
And what's going to happen is your blood sugar is going to spike.
Okay.
And so your body has to get that out of your bloodstream as quickly as possible, because it's like little shards of glass in your bloodstream tearing things up. Okay. And so it has to.
Why does it spike?
Because we're eating so much carbohydrate. Okay. So the carbohydrate is
just way too high.
Right. There's a tremendous amount. So when people are hearing this, like, okay, so bagel, why would that be so bad? Well, 2 slices of whole wheat bread, for example, is equivalent to 2 tablespoons of table sugar. Okay? 2 slices of the whole wheat, whole grain bread that we've been told, and I was told in my university setting to have people eat because it's so much better. It's only a couple ticks below what white bread is. Right. Okay, that's what I said.
Okay.
Bunny bread.
You called it out.
Understand. So a whole wheat bagel, for example, or pumpernickel, whatever it is.
So everything bagel that has all of the stuff in it.
Any carbohydrate food is going to translate over into glucose in the blood. Simple as that.
Any of them.
Now, of course, there's higher quality. Melon is going to be better in some aspects because of the micronutrients it contains than the whole wheat bagel, but not much better as far as what we're talking about with the translation of glucose in your blood.
Got it.
Okay? Glucose is glucose. So what's going to happen is your cells are first, insulin's going to be secreted. Your cells are going to get filled. Okay, fat cells, muscle cells, which get stored as muscle glycogen, and all as well, except the fact that we've consumed far too many carbohydrates for our body to handle at the time. So your body can't keep that sugar in your bloodstream. So what it's going to do is it's going to shuttle it to your liver, okay? Our most protective organ, this amazing liver, and our body and its infinite intelligence. So first what's going to happen is it's going to fill up something called liver glycogen, okay, that your body would use in the absence of carbohydrate. Okay, your body would start to use that liver glycogen, okay? But now we've had 2 bagels, so there's still, and there's not, your body can't store that much carbohydrate. So now the liver glycogen's topped off. It can't put the sugar back into your bloodstream because that could kill you. Full, right. So our body and its infinite intelligence will convert that into a couple of things. Oh. There's a few options. One of them is lipogenesis, the creation of fatty acids. So we'll convert it into fatty acids, which basically are going to show up in your body, in your blood, like cholesterol molecules. In particular, a compound called VLDL, very low-dense lipoprotein, because your body's now created that and basically packaged it with something called palmitic acid, right? Palmitic acid, cholesterol, and other amino acids. And now it has this particle, which is very low-dense lipoprotein. So it's very inflammatory because of particle size. Okay? It has a greater incidence of possibly causing a problem. So that's one of the things it would do. Another thing that it would do is it would convert it into fat in the liver itself. So this is how you can create non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And when your liver gets fat, we got some problems. Right. Okay. Right. The liver does not like to be a fatty organ. Well, it has a lot of responsibility. What it basically that means is going to be more sluggish.
They don't have time for that.
So that's the third option, and or it's going to be the creation of what we know as body fat. Okay. So now let's talk about that. Let's talk a little bit about that. So there's 2 main types of fat. Okay. So we've got, and they have different metabolic profiles. Okay. So we've got the visceral fat. Okay. And this is the abdominal fat. This is basically located within the abdominal wall and within the abdominal muscle. Okay. So this is belly fat. This is what we know as the belly fat. It's also known as omentum fat. Okay. Omentum, which translates to mean fatty apron. Okay. So visceral omentum fat, that's one type of fat. And it has a completely different metabolic process that it's going to be doing. Then there's also subcutaneous fat. Right. This is the fat located beneath the skin. And this is basically, it also includes the abdominal area, but what's beneath the skin. Okay. And this is basically what's kind of throughout your whole body, under your skin. All right. Now, one of the issues, the visceral fat, first of all, it functions a lot like another organ. Like you've grown another organ, and it produces hormones and a lot of these inflammatory compounds, cytokines, that create a lot of inflammation. And one of the hormones that it produces is more estrogen. Okay. So this can lead to estrogen dominance in women, which could lead to things like fibroid tumors, okay, breast cancer, ovarian cancer. For men, this can start to depress your secondary sex characteristics. You can become hyperestrogen as well, you know, and this can lead to something like gynecomastia, where development of breast tissue, hard to get rid of body fat as well, you know, shrinking of your family jewels. I mean, there's so many different things that can come from this when you have too much estrogen. Crazy as it sounds,
it's awful.
Got to be careful. Yeah. So now,
drop the bagel. Bottom line,
you said it, not me.
I'm just saying.
So what do we do? The difference here also, I want to make this distinction while we have the opportunity.
Sure.
With men and women, women tend to have more subcutaneous fat. Okay.
Well, we need
so
it. No.
yeah. So basically, the body fat will get spread out differently in the body, more on the butt and hips, the thighs, even of course the arms. So this can actually develop and get spread more throughout the body, whereas men have less subcutaneous fat.
But
so
they have that visceral.
So they're going to develop more of the beer belly, right, or the wheat belly. Okay. So to go ahead and wrap up this whole point and understand how glucose is translating over into the creation of obesity / more body fat. Obesity causes excess growth of fat tissue in 2 ways, right? 2 important ways. It makes the cells larger, number 1. That's called hypertrophy, okay? And people might have heard about that for building muscle. The same thing goes for the building of fat. So it makes them larger.
Wow.
And also, so that's way number 1. Way number 2 is increase. So that's way number 1, okay? Way number 1. Way number 2 is it increases their number. You increase the number of fat cells. And this is called hyperplasia, okay? You can actually create more fat cells, okay? Now, these overgrown fat cells become unstable and eventually they rupture. And their contents are usually toxic because fat actually is like an insulator holding toxicity. And also, of course, this
protecting you from
strange transmutated glucose as well. And this is going to cause further inflammation in the body when they rupture. And this leads to this vicious circle of inflammation and storing of fat, breaking down of the fat, more inflammation, and this kind of vicious circle.
Sure.
And this is what the next step is called. It's called chronic inflammation. And the end result is something called lipotoxicity, okay? Lipotoxicity, which is characterized by inflammation and insulin resistance. And one of the featuring qualities of that is metabolic syndrome and or type 2 diabetes.
Heard of that.
This is how it all comes together.
That's right.
All right. But so I really hope that everybody's kind of gotten a more well-rounded understanding about this condition, that it's not just something that happens and something that can be controlled.
And understanding that we have not had or gotten anywhere else. I promise you, we could have sat in a doctor's office and not gotten that.
Well, this is what it's about.
Yes.
You know, this is what it's about. And also this stuff is really quite simple. It's really quite simple. But
for a biology major.
What the common paradigm tries to do is to fluff it up and to make it complicated.
Sure.
You know, when the reality is every single person listening is brilliant level thinking. You know, it's just, are you taught the right way?
Right.
Are you delivered the information in a way that you can actually assimilate it and apply it to your life?
Which is why we're connecting now.
And so to move this on to the next phase here, and so we can get into our 8 steps for conquering this whole thing, I want to talk a little bit about the contributing causes. Okay, so obviously we already talked about high blood sugar levels from eating abnormal food. We got that. But people can eat a pretty good diet and still end up with these symptoms because of some of these things. So I don't want to leave out the fact that even with type 2 diabetes, the beta cells in the pancreas can also be dysfunctional as well. So, but it's just, that's more rare. It's more so there's too much insulin, okay? And that's really the underlying cause of the issue.
And that's something we're doing.
Yes.
That's something that we're creating.
Now, of course, diet is a part of the puzzle here, but let's talk about some of the other things. It's usually not one. It's usually not one thing, all right? It's a cascade of inflammatory, environmental, and lifestyle factors. So one of those things that a lot of people jump to first is genetic predisposition.
Right.
Which it has its merit. However, we talk about the field of epigenetics.
Yes.
Understanding that epi meaning above, genetics, which is what we believe is controlling our body. But there's an epigenetic control that's determining with what you're doing with your diet and lifestyle and the environment is going to determine whether or not a certain gene is expressing itself. Okay. This is going on all the time. A gene is just a blueprint.
Right.
Because you have a gene for something does not mean that you have to have that thing. We all have genetic programs for disease.
Right.
These are feedback mechanisms when we need to change. They're little internal alarms that get us to know, like, oh, that thing I did was not healthful to my human unit.
Right.
And if I want to stay here, I need to change. But we basically just keep hitting the snooze button on those alarms.
Right.
All right.
That's a great analogy.
So genetic predisposition, you could be more predisposed to having these type of issues show up. Absolutely. That means you got to get on your game.
Even more so.
Right? Dietary toxicity, which we've talked about already.
Right.
And we're going to talk about a little bit more in the 8 steps. Environmental toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what you're exposed to.
Right.
You know, we've got something like 90 billion pounds of chemicals added to the environment every year. You know, some absurd number, right? New chemicals.
Right. On top of the ones we're already swimming in. Yeah.
That we're swimming in it.
Yeah.
You know, how's your breaststroke?
Right.
So environmental
You'll need
toxicity, sedentary lifestyle,
it.
obviously movement. That life is movement. Okay, what's the opposite of that?
Right.
You know, and so sedentary
Stagnation.
lifestyle, sleep deprivation and poor sleep quality.
Well, coming
This can
from the
lead to
sleep
this.
smarter guy.
Mineral deficiency,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll talk about in a moment. Chronic stress is another underlying contributing factor, and medications, funny enough. And this is one a lot of people miss on. I got to share this statistic here. Individuals who are on statin medications,
Mm-hmm.
statins have been proven, clinically proven multiple times, increases the risk of diabetes by 48%. And there's a time period, it's still going on, but we're transitioning. There's a change happening where statins were passed out like candy. There was talk of putting statins into the water supply.
Wow.
Like fluoride.
Wow.
Okay. Because it was something that was supposed to be so safe and it would protect you from heart disease.
Oh my goodness.
Not understanding that drug is directly impacting your liver function.
Exactly.
And what is your liver doing? Well, your liver, number one, when we're talking about this conversation about diabetes, your liver is responsible for the breakdown and elimination of insulin.
Right.
Okay.
So you kill the liver.
You've got a problem. You've got insulin
right.
still doing its
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
Right. So
Wow.
just understand that. And
So now we just tossed in two more in the gang of death culprits. Heart disease and liver disease.
we've got to take care of, and again, you can't heal one thing without healing everything else. What's going to help your pancreas work great, your digestive system work great, it's going to be great for your heart as well.
And conversely, the other stuff is how we're wrong on so many levels, just so many levels.
So with all this said, now that we've gotten this kind of masterclass and understanding what's going on with how insulin and blood sugar and how that's translating into creation of obesity, and body fat, diabetes, all those things.
Yeah.
Here are the 8 steps to completely reverse diabetes, obesity, and diabetes-related symptoms.
I'm sorry, you said completely.
Yes.
Wow. So I heard immediately at the beginning of the show, but you said completely. So it can completely.
In almost 100% of the cases, okay, type 2 diabetes is reversible. And I can say that proudly at this point.
Well, I'm proud
but it's
too
again,
that
it's
you said it.
how much are you going to jump into the game? How much are you going to go full in on taking the best care of you and doing the things that you know you, quote, should be doing anyways, but they have to become musts.
Yeah.
They have to become vital and things that it becomes a part of who you are. And this whole diagnosis, which is just a diagnosis, diabetes is a condition. We have to stop identifying ourselves as I'm a diabetic.
I'm a condition.
That's my end story, okay? Because it's a condition, and this condition can be changed.
That's right.
Okay?
And I'm much more sovereign than a condition.
Absolutely.
And the shoulda, what was that? Tony Robbins said, you know, we have to change our shoulds to musts because we're shoulding all over ourselves.
Check your pants.
We're always shoulding.
You got to get those depends. But it's all good. It's all good. You know, we oftentimes, you know, we're very, wishful thinking.
Right.
Wishful thinking. And I wish this would get better. Not understand that you have the capacity. You can do this.
That's right.
You can change. And we're going to make it simple as these 8 steps. So step number 1.
Yeah.
To completely reverse diabesity, step number 1 is to use your fork as medicine. Without the presence of glucose from the diet, your pancreas is able to release another hormone called glucagon that can literally break down stored fat and use it for energy.
That's nice.
So without the presence of glucose from your diet, okay, or dramatically dropped, okay? So that's step number 1 is to decrease the ratio of carbohydrates in your diet.
Right.
Real simple so that your body can kick into this other mode because your pancreas, there's 2 things, insulin or glucagon. It can't do both at the same time. It's a binary system.
So can we call Michael Bay?
Why would we do that?
Because this is a sequel to Transformers with the glucagon. Come on.
You so cray. You cray. Transformers.
That's right.
Roll out.
I want the right. There's got to be, Could you
transform, baby. I could transform you. So use your fork as medicine.
That's right.
Okay, so we can get glucagon going. Call Michael Bay. If there's constantly an influx of sugar coming in, your body never gets a chance to do this, though. Okay. So what we usually do when we eat a lot of crap is we try to exercise it off. We try to work it off, which we're going to talk about why that's not effective in just a moment.
Okay.
So what we want to do is shift the macronutrient ratio. And I'm not saying to eat a low carbohydrate diet per se, but that would be helpful short term, especially to get your insulin sensitivity back online, to get your body metabolically healthy again.
It'll reset?
Okay. Absolutely. Your body knows what to do. We just got to get out of the way. We got to remove the cause. Your body will heal itself. It knows what to do.
I love it.
So shift the macronutrient ratio. And something that might be helpful is maybe possibly looking into a lower carbohydrate or a ketogenic approach. So we just had on the incredible Jimmy Moore.
Living La Vida Low Carb.
Yes. And so he's got a best-selling book, Keto Clarity, that people can look into. Which is clinically proven, again, to help people to reverse type 2 diabetes very effectively, okay? So, and healthy fats are the highlight. So and why I'm even mentioning his book is the fact that if you're eating a lower carbohydrate approach, but then you're increasing the protein, remember we talked about protein can incite insulin as well.
Right.
And a process called gluconeogenesis can happen where proteins actually get converted. Even your muscle can get converted into more glucose, okay? So we want to have more fats. We want to fill that void we're taking with carbohydrates, and it's actually more pleasurable to fill it more with fats.
Right.
Okay.
And so everybody's happy.
Coconut oils, avocados, olives, olive oil, grass-fed butter,
Clarified.
nuts and seeds. I just had a couple of Brazil nuts, before we did the show.
I did too. Ever since the testosterone show.
So many different things that you can add to your plate and to really help to get your body metabolically on point again. Yeah. All right. So one of the next things that we want to do is using your fork as medicine is to eat clean and green. This is crucial, okay, because the non-starchy vegetables really help with the regulation or optimization of leptin, okay? That's the satiety hormone. Yes, this can help to improve your leptin sensitivity, which leptin resistance is a hallmark of obesity and diabetes, okay? It's another one of those things tied in. So eating more non-starchy vegetables. So these are all the cruciferous vegetables, the broccolis, the cabbages, kale, collards, all that good stuff.
Brussels.
Also zucchinis. So another group of veggies, which is actually fruit, but the cucumbers, all those things. So higher water content vegetables as well. So add those things in abundance. So half of your plate, if you're working to remove yourself from the category of people who are pre-diabetic or diabetic, half of your plate should be non-starchy vegetables every meal.
That's the formula.
And that's not saying you can't have fun.
Right.
Number one, they could taste amazing. Number two, you get to have some other stuff.
Right.
Right. So, and also this is important for the environmental toxins we're exposed to. Every single person should be on some kind of a green superfood blend to help to buffer the reactive oxygen species, this kind of inflammatory process happening in our bodies because we're exposed to just so much. So make sure that if you're not already, that you're on a green superfood blend. And of course, I recommend the Earth Grown Nutrients from Onnit. So onnit.com/model for Earth Grown Nutrients. That's a great superfood blend to give you that extra insurance. So eat clean and green. All right. And that's tip number one. Use your fork as medicine. So let's go to step number 2 in our 8 steps to completely reverse diabesity. Okay. The obesity and diabetes related symptoms. Step number 2 is to use exercise as preventative medicine. Okay, so what we tend to do is we'll eat a crappy meal and then we'll try to work it off, quote, work it off, right? And the sad reality is the fact that you can't out-train a bad diet, And a great analogy or great example is just say, you're running on a treadmill. I got you on the treadmill. You got to do an hour to burn off, we'll say 300 calories, okay? And then while you're on the treadmill, I go ahead and give you a big gulp, right? 7-Eleven style, right? Or the Simpsons, whatever the store, the Quickie Mart style, right? I give you a big gulp. You down that. You just drank, we'll just say 500 calories. Make it a double big gulp, all right? Like my mom used to get. It was actually like a carton, like you had to fold it yourself. And so anyway, so a double big gulp, you've just consumed 500 calories and an hour on the treadmill, and you just drank that while you're there, and it cancels it all out and then some, okay? And all you did was just have a drink. You just had a drink. It's a crappy drink, but the same thing really this is happening all the time. People are eating and consuming foods and it's not just the fact of the calories. It's what it's doing to your hormones. It's what it's doing to your metabolism, right? So we want to pay more attention to this stuff and understand you cannot outtrain a bad diet. So we want to use this as preventative medicine. So outside from changing your diet, exercise is probably the single most important medication for diabetes. Now, so here's what the research shows. We want to be walking at least 30 minutes every single day. And as a matter of fact, just 3 times a week, if you walk 3 times a week, it's clinically proven to optimize insulin sensitivity and to defend against diabetes. So 30 minutes 3 times a week. I recommend every day, especially if we've got issues with this prediabetes and diabetes. You want to be more active, okay? The opposite is sedentary, okay, of where you need to be. So being more active, 30 minutes a day, or at minimum 3 times a week. And so what the research shows for this one is 15 minutes is ideal. 10 to 15 minute walk post-meal can help your body to process and shuttle out and clean up this metabolic mess that can happen from consuming a questionable meal or even a healthy meal. And so this is just a brisk walk. You know, this isn't like you're power walking it, shaking it fast and watching yourself. It's not that. And it's also not just a slow, leisurely walk, which I would rather see you do that than to do nothing, but just a nice brisk walk. And this is a good time to go and walk with the person you had a meal with. Or if you just had a meal with yourself, go and walk with yourself. You know, it's a great time to put on a podcast and learn why you burn. So that's tip number 2, which is to use exercise as preventative medicine. Tip number 3 is to get the right supplements. Okay, supplements really, for me, this is something that's down the rung from your nutrition and your exercise and what we're going to talk about in a moment, vitamin S, right? We're going to come back and talk about that. But the supplements do play a part, especially when somebody is working to reverse prediabetes and diabetes, because they help to fill some nutritional gaps. So these would include things like vitamin D, and I'm talking from the experience of what the research shows. Clinically effective for these things, proven. Okay, vitamin D, it helps to improve your insulin resistance and how your body processes glucose. It helps to optimize that and get that stuff straight. And also fish oil. Lots of studies showing how effective fish oil can be, but you want to make sure you get a high quality source, all right, with the fish oil. It's very, very important. And I recommend also taking that with some astaxanthin, so it helps it from going rancid. Okay, this is a little sidebar, little pocket protector tuck in, little note there. But also blood sugar balancing nutrients like magnesium, super important for helping your body to regulate your blood sugar. And we use the topical, okay, magnesium infusion. So you don't want to take a lot of oral magnesium because it can lead to gastrointestinal issues, or AKA running to the bathroom for poopy time. All right, so you got to be careful with that. All right, so another one is ALA, alpha lipoic acid. And also another great one is chromium. Chromium really is effective for being able to help your body to optimize the function of insulin as well, clinically proven. Where are you going to find chromium? Cinnamon. This is why cinnamon is so frequently tied to being something great for diabetics. But we don't have to just have it so it's great for diabetics. It's great for everybody, for the prevention and reversal of this thing because of the high content of chromium. But of course, there are chromium supplements as well, but I like to go for the food source first. Biotin is another thing to look into. Green tea catechins is another thing to look into. But I can't stress enough magnesium. Very, very important. And again, I'll put that in the show notes, the magnesium that I recommend. And really quickly, some time-tested food/medicines like bitter melon. Bitter melon has a lot of clinical data showing its effectiveness for reversing type 2 diabetes. Aloe vera, and dandelion. Okay, so dandelion greens, dandelion root tea. Those are really great things for your liver function. Okay, this is why dandelion can really help to hit on that note. And aloe, great with polysaccharides to help improve the cellular communication. So that's step number 3, is to get the right supplements. Now let's move on to step number 4 in our 8 steps to completely reverse diabesity. Step number 4 is stress integration practice daily. Okay, stress integration / management practice daily. This is critical because stress is a major contributor to insulin resistance and blood sugar imbalance. And how is that so, Shawn? Well, catabolic hormones like cortisol can actually break down your own tissues and convert that into glucose, thus raising your blood sugar without you eating a meal. Okay, just your thoughts. Stress in and of itself can raise your blood sugar, leading to all of these things. And this is the combination. Again, it's not usually one thing. It's the nutrition, it's the stress, all these things together we have to have strategies for, okay? So stress is a major contributor with insulin resistance and blood sugar imbalance. So we want to incorporate practices every single day. This can be deep breathing, mental rehearsal, AKA visualization, seeing yourself well, seeing yourself perfectly healthy. And you don't want to think about disease-free. Don't even think about the disease. Just seeing yourself fit, healthy, and happy, full of energy. And that mental rehearsal can be very powerful. And just to sit with that. Yoga, but not the more stressful kind of working out yoga, but more of the balancing, flowing, gentle. And also things like Qigong. Qigong would be really, really great as well. And there's so many other relaxation techniques that you can use. And by the way, my favorite Qigong practice that I use, I'll put that in the show notes as well. So again, stress is a critical thing in our lives that we need to manage, especially when we're talking about reversing prediabetes and diabetes. So we want to make sure we got that base covered. So that's step number 4. Step number 5 in our 8 steps to completely reverse diabesity is to intelligently hydrate. Intelligently hydrate. This one is real simple and to the point. We need to flush out metabolic waste products. All this stuff is going on with insulin and with blood sugar. There's a lot of breakdown. There's a lot of waste products that's going to be created from your cells doing normal day-to-day work. We've got to flush that stuff out because it's just like becoming like sticky glue in your bloodstream. All right. So we want to create the right conditions and healthy conditions for your cells to operate. And because also this will improve your neurotransmitter functioning and your hormone signaling as well. So make sure to intelligently hydrate. In the show notes, masterclass on hydration, because we don't want to be drinking a lot of chlorinated water filled with fluoride and potentially cause more problems. We want to drink the right kind of water as well. And so we talked all about that, and also, of course, a lot more why this is so effective. So that's step number 5. Step number 6 on completely reversing diabesity is to get your inner circle dialed in. So this means something simple, something very simple yet profound, is that your peer group has the greatest influence on your health and your well-being. I say this over and over, as many chances as I can get. Your peer group, your relationships is the most powerful factor in your health in your life. So one of the quotes that I like to share is that if I can't build with you, I can't chill with you, right? So if you're working on getting yourself healthy and you're working on really becoming the best version of yourself, and the individuals around you are not helping you to build that, and they're not conspiring for your good, then we need to have the audacity to seek that relationship, that support from other people, because there are literally how many billions of people? It's like, no, but this is the one, you don't understand. No, there are billions of people on the planet. There are many people who will be supportive of you. And also, this is what this show is. I'm right here. I'm supporting you. I'm riding with you on this. And I want to see you do well. And that's what this is about. So conscientiously make sure that your inner circle is dialed in. Get yourself around people who are promoting health and supportive of health and supporting of you being happy and healthy. And it's going to make the whole process that much easier. Step number 7 on our list of 7 steps to reverse diabesity is to protect your liver. Okay, we already talked about the importance of this. I'm going to put a link to our past show dedicated. We did a Love Your Liver episode talking about liver and its powerful impact on fat loss. Okay, so I'll put that in the show notes. You've got to protect your liver because number 1, first and foremost, when talking about this issue, is that your liver is responsible for breaking down insulin and eliminating it from your body. Okay, you have to have that process dialed in. Your liver has to be happy and healthy and able to do that job. Really, really important. So we got our final step here, our final step. And step number 8 on our list of 8 steps to completely reverse diabesity is to use sleep as the secret sauce. There was a study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism. It showed that just one night, 24 hours of sleep deprivation can make you as insulin resistant as a type 2 diabetic. Okay. Now, the results can vary from person to person. And if this happens in an acute situation, you could be okay. But when this happens consistently, when this is happening night after night, and you're finding yourself not getting the optimal sleep for your body, for your energy, for your health, you can actually develop into full-blown diabetes simply from not sleeping. That's how powerful this is. And again, it's not all about the diet. It's not all about the exercise. These factors matter. So when we're talking about diabetes, we got to keep in mind we're also talking about a 50% greater risk of you dying early. All right, so this is serious business. If you're not sleeping, sleep is kind of like your practice for being dead. It's kind of weird. I know it's weird. This is the vitamin S right here. But the truth is, with high quality sleep, you actually get to wake up.
Right.
You get to wake up and live. You've got a whole nother day to accomplish your potential.
What grace. What
and so
grace.
It's plugging back into this kind of infinite source of healing and of love and recovery every single night, and you're waking up with another opportunity,
right?
Or you can be like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And the truth is, even people that say that, you're not gonna sleep when you're dead. You're gonna sleep a lot because you're gonna get tired a lot,
Right.
But you don't want to be somebody who's passing out. You want to consciously create a practice of getting high quality sleep. And obviously, we have the best-selling book on this for 7 months.
Ching,
Number
ching,
one
ching, ching.
bestseller on Amazon and at least one health list. Sleep Smarter. Sleep Smarter, 21 proven tips to sleep your way to a better body, better health, bigger success.
Who wrote that, by the way?
Yours truly.
That's right.
So definitely get your copy of Sleep Smarter and stack the conditions in your favor. Stack the conditions in your favor to experience the health and vitality that you deserve to have. If you want to have health, you have to make it a study. If you want to have wealth, you have to make it a study. If you want to have a great relationship, you have to make it a study. I'm providing you with these tools and strategies to really make it a study to create the health and the longevity that you really want. These tools, and they're simple and they're fun. You can apply them to your life. You can get the result. And also you can share this with people. We can change those numbers because I don't want to hear it anymore.
That's right.
I don't want to hear that 1 in 3 children born today is going to end up with diabetes. We're changing that. That's over.
Not on our watch.
But it starts with us. We've got to put this stuff into play for ourselves. Be the example. Share this. Share this with the people that you care about by your example.
Yeah.
And also just by sharing the podcast. Make sure you share the show and share your own experience. That's so powerful and so healing. And I just want to thank you again so much for being with me through these 1 million+ downloads. It's just blowing my mind. And please know we've got some amazing things in store for you. I'm so excited, so very excited. And now take this information, go and apply something today to help to bring you more health and vitality. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.
Take care.